ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Shit's about to hit the fan. Welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays on Wrestling with Freddie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays. No intro today because I want to give you as much time as we can with our guest, and this is part 2 of the interview with Swerve Strickland. Welcome back to the show. Happy Thursday to you and to everyone out there. Jeff, to you as well. I want to get right into it, and I think this is the most important question that I had, and I saved it all the way for this because I don't know how much time it's going to take. You have said this publicly, and I want this to happen for you in every way, shape, or form. I don't know how soon it has to happen, but it has to happen. You are on the path, and you want to be the first Black champion in AEW, World Champion in AEW. And I think the sky is the limit for you. Jeff and I both think you're a superstar. How fast do you, I mean, it's the new year, so how fast do you see this year moving for you? I mean, do you see this happening quickly? Are you on a slow burn? Are you a rocket ship strapped to you? What do you see in your future as far as building this legacy toward that?
Right now, I don't really put timetable on it because I feel like everything has accelerated super fast for me since being in AEW. Like, I didn't expect to win the AEW tag titles within like 6 months of me being there. That was not on my like to-do list, you know, but it ended up happening. I think I had like, since signing to AEW, like out of all the people that signed to AEW, I think I had like the second fastest to win a title in the company's history.
Wow. Behind
FTR, that being the first actually African-American tag team to win the titles as well. And then going on to have the first African-American, two tag teams going for the tag titles out of pay-per-view as far as African-Americans go. So like, those are the kind of things you don't like plan out. You don't like write that. You can't write that kind of stuff. It just, you let the universe happen. And then the fact of like going to like November 18th was such a significant date, was the Texas Death Match, but like 2 years prior, that was the day I got let go from the WWE. So that's another thing you can't write. It's just all these things are like aligning. So I can't like, I'm pretty sure being the first African-American world champion in AEW is the stars are going to align at some point again. And I can't like force that. I can't plan that. I kind of just got to stay focused, like what the task is in front of me right now. You know, those things I got to handle at this very moment as we speaking. But I wouldn't make the case for being the first African-American AEW World Champion if I didn't feel like I didn't have the qualifications for that. That's like saying, don't get in the NBA if you don't think you're world champion material. You know, if you don't think you're a Super Bowl contender, don't get in the NFL. You want to perceive yourself as the best. That's why we compete. That's why we grow. That's why we progress and stuff. And I feel like I'm one of the most qualified, not just African Americans. I feel like I'm one of the most qualified superstars in the company in pro wrestling, period, to be a world champion. And it's something fresh. It's something new. It's something people didn't see coming. And it's something that'll like be the gut punch to a lot of criticisms that we see online about the company. It's a lot of like truly new era for the industry, period. You know, I feel like I'm responsible enough to hold that title. I move in a certain professional way that nobody else really does or has the caveat to do. I kind of can bounce between a film and then a music video and then be on stage with Rick Ross and Kevin Gates and then go back to performing at a high level on Wednesday nights on Dynamite and then prepare for a pay-per-view. And then go back to do my podcast and have Freddie Prinze Jr. on and stuff like that, you know? Like, there's not anybody else in the industry that's really pulling that off besides like Chris Jericho. And hats off to him for really creating that kind of mold, that format, that structure to be able to do that. You know, he's opened up the doorways and I'm like, okay, how do I find my identity in that kind of space? You know?
Dude, when I was a kid, you're blowing my mind. When I was a kid, the only like Puerto Ricans you would see or Latinos that you would see on television were either selling drugs or in gangs and getting arrested. And my grandmother introduced me to lucha libre and professional wrestling so that we could see heroes, right?
Yes.
you know how likable you are, right? You realize you're going to be a role model for kids coming up watching wrestling going, holy shit, I can do that too. I relate to this guy on a level that I haven't related to anyone in movies and TV, things like that, because he's really talking to me. You see that, right? You know that, yes?
I would hope so. I would hope to be like a role model. I'm a father of 2 girls, so I think that's that part of me that wants to be like, I wouldn't say wants to be likable, but it humbles me to a space where I still have people to look out for, and I know there's a younger generation looking up to me. I don't want to be another story on social media like, oh, what could have been. And that's like one of my biggest fears of like just falling short of getting so close to something, and I've had family members that I've grew up seeing that are like superstars in high school. They had the whole world handed to them. They had college letters sent to their doorway, like right in the front door, that they had it right there. And then they just fumbled because of like decisions, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, making being the city just eating them up and engulfing them. Now they never can leave and stuff like that. And that was never me. I never done a drug a day in my life. I never had alcohol, because those little small things can just derail you and take your whole life away that you work so hard for. So I'm really cautious about the way I move. I have a great support system, like the 2 mothers of my kids. I got my mother, my sisters, my daughters. I'm surrounded by women. So
you are.
I'm surrounded by a niece, a nephew, but like, so with that being said, I kind of have to be the guy. I have to be the man in their lives, because a lot of them don't have fathers,
Yeah.
So I got to be the one I got to be the son to my mother. I got to be the brother to my 2 sisters. I got to be the father to my 2 girls, and the uncle to my niece. That's a lot of responsibility. And I don't want to let that down.
We'll finish off with this. You have such an open mind as far as where your career is going to take you. You said earlier that your podcast partner kind of brought the artist out in you, but you are that. You are an artist. You are a storyteller. I'd love for you to talk about not just in the wrestling ring, but the things that you have going on outside, especially with your music, as far as self-expression and the ability to do that, and the way you've sort of blended these 2 worlds together and brought this authentic character to television in a way that a lot of people just can't do.
I started seeing a lot of the similarities that all my loves and all the things that I'm a big fan of, the comic book world. We've seen that. I feel like when it first started, when wrestling really picked up on a national television syndicated form, well, it was a lot of comic books coming to life, superheroes coming to life, with like the Hurricane. And before that, you were really seeing like Vince McMahon characters.
Yeah, sure.
Mid to late 90s and stuff. They were like, oh, these are superheroes brought to life.
Yeah,
and
man,
then
Shane Helms.
Right, yeah. Shout out Shane Helms, man.
Yeah, for real.
Love him, man. He's a great dude. But that was like one of those times you're like, oh, then Mysterio took it to the next level. That showed that you could be a world champion with a superhero brought to life type of archetype in pro wrestling. And then for a while, we didn't know what the next jump was. I feel like even before that, you've seen the Undertaker brought to life on screen. But for a while, we didn't see the next jump in evolution of where's the next platform until I seen Bray Wyatt really get a lot of that freedom with The Fiend. Then it was like, okay, now we are tapping into something new and going to a different way. For me, it was like, okay, how do I humanize that? How do I make that how do I bring my culture to the forefront of it, but humanize it to a sense where it's like, it's not too far fetched of like where it's becoming I would say a caricature of something. It's like, no, right. I believe that. I believe everything, and it's not satire. It's actually like, no, this is who he is. This is what he is. And the first promo I did, it was like the back and forth on AEW Rampage. It was against Tony Nese. And Tony, we had the back and forth promo and he called me some rapper. And I was like, I didn't even have anything in my head as far as like what I was going to say. I was literally just flowing. And he was like, he called me like some rapper or whatever. And I was like, hey, be careful how you use the word rapper, because I'm a mogul. And I was like, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I kind of ran with that. I was like, how do I get more of the mogul and more business side of hip hop?
That's great.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing that so well since then. That's great.
Yeah. Hats off to Tony Khan, because this has been a partnership when it comes to like the mogul character of Swerve. It wasn't just all me and my design and it was him allowing me and having the freedom and then having the trust to me to bring like a Kevin Gates and have to celebrate the tag team titles and like Fabulous walk out on stage with me at in Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Arena, and then being able to like have me go to Rolling Loud and have me do these things. But then with the Rick Ross thing, and it was like, okay, cool. Now we need to transition, and the boss needs to take control. But he knows what it is. He knows how to not make it like not bring it down. He's like, no, I want to amplify this. And I was like, and I had to take my hands off the steering wheel. And that's like when it's something that's your baby and your pride and joy, you're like, oh man, I don't want to give this up. But I had to do that and trust in that. And then he brought in the Nana and the Mogul Embassy. And I was like, okay. And then I just rolled with the flow on that. And that took it to the next level of so now like the mogul has actually really come into life, because the music's going into NFL stadiums and is going into hockey stadiums, and people are dancing worldwide with it. And
it
now
really
it's
has.
Streams.
It's crazy. And you said that evolution, it evolved again after, I don't remember how long it was with Nana, but you had this moment on a walkout where he's doing his thing and you just stopped him.
Yeah.
And you didn't say anything. And I was just like, oh shit. And it was such a great, like, cinematic moment that went beyond wrestling and I thought connected. And I think that's your as great an athlete as you are, I think that's your greatest asset is your ability to connect with people. Thank you for being a part of this show, man. Thank you for connecting with our audience here at My Cultura. And I'd love to talk more about acting with you when we get off the air. But I thank you very much for joining us. I thank our audience for another great season. See you guys next season for season 4. On behalf of my awesome guest, Swerve Strickland, my awesome co-host, Jeff Dye, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. wishing all of you peace. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.